Good morning, everybody. Mike Niemiec here with some early morning grain and oilseed comments on this Wednesday, January 16th. Well, it looks like what we're trying to do here overnight is what we tried to do yesterday, and that is trying to turn around, rebound a little bit from early week weakness. Overnight trade, we have the wheat and the corn, the wheat and the corn prices up around 3 cents, beans up around a nickel, the meal up around $2, and the soybean oil up around 5 points. As I said, at this time a day ago, we were out there trying to firm up from Monday's weakness, and that fizzled on out. During the early session, there was reports going around that the U.S. and the Chinese were talking on trade issues as far as maybe putting together a 2-year package of buying ag products, which, once again, we continue to go back and forth with the U.S.-Chinese trade talks. Then later in the morning, our U.S. trade representative came on out and he says he's just really not seeing any progress in these trade talks. He says that there continues to be problems with structural issues, i.e. the Chinese continue to see no problem in trying to steal or take away U.S. intellectual property. So that still seems to always come on up, even though the Chinese have been coming together and saying that they're going to be buying some U.S. products, but it's that structural issue that continues to come on up. And then we also go back and forth with the South American weather and crop progress. The wet weather in Argentina sounds like it's going to cool off for a little bit. That means the ample rains are going to calm down, but then they're going to get another surge of rains coming in at the end of next week. So that's an on-again, off-again issue, just like the trade talks. And Brazil kind of has ample rains throughout most of the country, except up in the northeast, and the trade is kind of keeping an eye on it. So the bottom line in here is that when we go and see sell-offs in the marketplace and get down to the bottom end of a trading range, which we seem to have been in endlessly, we go and find supportive news, be it on the trade talks and or the South American weather. Conversely, when we go and rally the market back towards the top end of the trading range, we go and find out non-bullish and or negative news on both the trade talks and on the weather that kind of keeps us contained. We did have an open crush that came out yesterday, and on paper it was a little bit supportive, although the trade didn't really recognize it. We had a crush that was bigger than what the trade was looking for, and maybe more importantly, the oil stocks on a bigger crush were smaller than what the trade was looking for. We continue to find out that the meal around the world is somewhat being displaced by other ingredients and or perhaps of a lack of demand, and a lot of that rhetoric has been coming out of China as a result of the pig problem that continues out there. Down the road, will we get any business as far as pig? Indirectly, that kind of helps our corn and meal demand, but nothing forthcoming at this point in time. I will say for the corn, which was kind of interesting on the news last night, a wire story coming out of China, that they're saying that they are now starting to whittle down their age-old corn, and that perhaps that they'll be out of these stocks by the end of the year or during the year of 2019. Which makes that kind of interesting, is that we know that the Chinese reportedly have been swimming in corn, and like the U.S. did roughly around 10 years ago, go on an ethanol program, the Chinese are going to go and do that reportedly on paper, and that could be somewhat of an interest going forward in here with our carry-out not growing or as large as it is in wheat and beans. What happens with our growing season if the Chinese have taken down their corn stocks, and what happens if they get on this ethanol program and need more corn down the road, something to keep an eye out for. So all in all, we're a little bit firmer in the overnight trade, still range-bound trade. If the government ever comes back and get our USDA reports, we still kind of feel that if we were to get the January reports, we're still kind of adequate with ample supplies. And once we have a weather problem here or in South America going forward in here, we have enough right now to suffice the demand, and in general should keep us somewhat range-bound for the near term. Once again, these are my opinions, not that of ADM or ADMIS. Thank you.